What's up, guys? I was just doing this video today. I was going to tell you about what happened to me last night. So, I got to the end of my day. I went to a truck stop. I was in Wills, Nevada. I was going to Jerome, Idaho the next day, which is 2.5 hours north of where I was at. So I thought, no big deal. Go the next day. I'll shut down here early and get me a good spot at the truck stop. So what I did, I got me a good spot. I even bragged to my wife. I'm like, hey, I got the second best parking spot in this lot. She's like, well, I'm proud of you. So anyway, I park. I go to the sleeper berth of this truck. Watching a video on Netflix. And I get tired. I go to sleep. I wake up because my entire body was rocked by something that just slammed into the back of me. I'm like, holy shit! So I jump up, pants falling down around my ankles. I roll out of this truck like this bitch is on fire. Jump out, and a guy slammed into my tow vehicle, backing into a parking spot. I ran back there, and immediately I asked him, what in the are you thinking? What are you doing? And all this stuff. He's like, oh, did I hit you? Well, hell, man, he almost knocked me totally out of the sleeper berth. And I'm like, yeah, you hit me. And he was already getting out to walk back there to see how bad it was, because he knew he hit me. And then I'm like, man, hold on. I'm going to see if there's any damage. And I whipped out my DeWalt 20-volt flashlight. It's real bright. And went back there and started inspecting the back of my vehicle. There's a big old crease in the door. And I'm like, oh, man. And he's like, oh, you're not going to do any insurance fraud on me. No, you're not going to put a claim in on me for that. That dent was already there. And I'm like, well, how in the hell does he know if the dent's already there or not? Because I sure in the hell didn't see no dent. Now, on that tow vehicle of mine, I've done a previous video. And in that video, I said, hey, the only dent on this whole video is on this fender. I mean, if anybody doesn't believe me saying that, you could refer back to when I first got Honda number one. One dent. And it wasn't in the tailgate. Now it has a big dent in the tailgate and it's creased. So now I'm starting to get pissed off. Then the guy's like basically calling me a liar, saying I'm going to do insurance fraud on him and all this other stuff. So at that point, I start telling him, I'm like, man, this is uncool. You know, we gotta do something about this. And so he starts flipping out. He's like, oh, I've already had one wreck this year, and you know, I can't have my company give me another ding for something I didn't do, and all this other stuff. I'm like, look, man, I got damage here, so you know, we got to do something about this. And I was gonna tell him, you know, we could handle this a different way. I would have probably accepted like a few $100 cash, you know, and just called it a day. Then the guy started just flipping out, being a royal dick. So then I just cut him off. He's like, well, I'm going to call the cops. I said, do it. Call the cops. And then I stopped talking to him at that point, and I started shooting a small video of where I was parked, my plates, my placards. I had tail lights on. Everything was legal on my end. 100%. My logbook was straight. I mean, everything was good. So I started shooting video of him, how he was, like, in truck driving school, they called it a box. You know, how he blew the back out of the box, and he backed too far out of the box and slammed into me. I mean, it's blatantly obvious he screwed up. So I took and videoed all that. I got plates, him acting like a fool, his ICC number, his MC number on his truck, the name of the truck, the front license plate. I got it all on video. All right, so then I walk back up to the truck. He's like, "Man, I can't believe you're doing this." And I'm like, "Well, if you wasn't a douchebag, we would have handled this the other way, but you started becoming a douchebag saying that I'm doing fraud and I'm lying and everything else. I'm kind of a cool guy. Sometimes, I could give somebody a benefit of the doubt and work with them. But this guy, not so much." But you could see this looming ice storm, snowstorm coming. Look on my hood already. Starting to get these little pellets. So I'm not going anywhere. I could care less that it snows. So anyway, I'll run back and show you the damage to my tow vehicle real quick. So without removing this spare tire took the brunt and it pushed it in. And, you can see it. It's right here. Right in there. But it's hard to see down behind there, but that bracket popped in and stuff like that. Boy, it's really starting to pick up. Look at that. That's within a couple minutes. While I'm out here, I might as well show you how I hooked to this. I hooked at the top of the frame. Just pinched it. Came down at an angle. Like so. Standard operating procedure for me. Anywho, so, it looks like minor damage, but since the guy was a dick, it's going to be damage, nevertheless. And so, he's going to get dinged for that, for being a douchebag. It was just a small dent to me. He should have had a better goal, than to not get out and look before backing. You know what I mean? So, that would have been a better idea. But he was too stupid and lazy. But what I'm going to do is I have his insurance information, and I'm going to deal with, I'm going to give it to my insurance. They're going to deal with his insurance, and it'll be out of my hands. Even if I get $50 out of the whole situation and I have that dent just painlessly popped out, I'm happy with that. But I'll tell you what happened when the sheriff got there. Now this is the meat of the bone right here. So I call the sheriff. Sheriff rolls up, and sheriff said, "What happened?" And I said, "It's very simple. I was already parked here. The guy came and backed into my vehicle, put a dent in it. I said, the guy was acting like a fool. I ended up having to call you guys to make a report. The company I work for requires any accident for me to have an accident report made and then contact them. So that's where we're at." And he's like, "Okay." So then he walks over there, starts talking to the guy. Like I say, the guy started flipping out, acting a fool. Cop did not like that immediately. I was cool with the cop. Now we got dumbass over here acting like a fool. So instantly the cop hated him. Okay? So then the cop walks back there with him. I stand my distance. I slipped my pocket knife into my tow vehicle before the guy even got there because, I don't want no trouble. And the cop's back there talking to him, and the guy takes and grabs my spare tire on the back of my vehicle and starts yanking on it and acting like he's a damn monkey, swinging from my spare tire. And immediately, the blood started boiling at that point. And that cop was just letting him do it. And I said, look, dude, you need to leave my vehicle alone. Do not touch my vehicle, fucker. That's exactly how I said it. And when I threw the word fucker out, instantly the cop went doo 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 and called for backup. About 2.5 minutes later, a highway patrol pulls up, and every truck driver does not want to see a highway patrol pulling up to anything, especially me. And so he slides on up with a siren on in Love's parking lot, just screaming up, woo woo. And I'm like, oh my God, every truck driver in this lot is now awake. So I woke up the whole lot now. And with one word, I woke up the whole lot. All right, so Highway Patrol rolls up. I'm still, in my spot away from these guys. I'm not being aggressive or anything. I just told the guy to get off my vehicle. I didn't like it. He's already ran into it. He's been a dick, caused this to escalate. So then the Highway Patrol and the sheriff start conversating, which he was just bringing the highway patrolman up to speed. No big deal. Then the highway patrolman started schooling the sheriff on what I needed to have, which that kind of sucked for me because I didn't get a port of entry for Nevada because I was trying to save $15. Apparently, truck movers won't pay for that, which, that's a whole nother story. And I didn't get my port of entry because I never exited or entered Nevada. I went from Las Vegas to where I was at, so I never entered or exited. So I never passed a scale, a weigh station, a port of entry to get it. But I could have gotten it electronically and then had it printed off at a truck stop and then had it on my person for the highway patrolman and handed it to him. But I did not. So I'm like, oh shit. I'm gonna get nailed with this because I think it's $150 fine then and there. Then you may have to leave there, go get it. There's a whole situation you gotta deal with. So I'm like, oh no. And so then the highway patrolman's like, you gotta have proof of insurance and registration for this truck. Now, we do drive away. We don't have a registration for these trucks because we have a temporary tag. We put placards on them and then we hook our vehicle or however you want to, you know, roll with the vehicle and then you go. You don't have a registration. So he's already hitting me with registration, which I won't be able to produce that. I could produce a unicorn out of my butthole quicker than that, something like that. So I'm like, oh man, this is screwing me up. So the highway patrol, I wasn't happy to see him because of those two things. And then I was having trouble locating my insurance card for truck movers. Eventually I found it. Then they wanted to see insurance on the vehicle I'm towing. I finally got that. My poor wife had to locate that for me and send it to me. So we got all the paperwork in order and straight, and then I had to have a person from Truck Movers, which was very, very nice, and she took and called me back because of the accident, and she spoke with the sheriff for me and on my behalf and explained to his stubborn ass that we don't have a registration, but she told me that there is a paper that she could get, but my dispatcher would need to get it. And she's like, you would have to have that on Monday. And I'm like, no, no, because this is, Saturday night. I mean, I need it here now. So I got out of that whole situation. I got the guy's insurance information. So that is the story about a dumbass at Love's backing into my tow vehicle. I tell you what, there's no way I could avoid getting hit in the rear. I mean, it's ridiculous. I can't go anywhere in 1 year without getting rear-ended, hit, slammed into. So this is another reason why it's best to have a beater with a heater as a tow vehicle, and or something that's disposable. So that's what I believe. So you all get out there and make some damn money. I'm gonna enjoy this snow.